nervous system. Nervous system is also known as neural system. Nervous system can be broadly classified into two types. One is central nervous system and another one is peripheral nervous system. CNS is called central nervous system. Central nervous system. And PNS is called peripheral nervous system. Peripheral nervous system. Now, central nervous system composed of brain and spinal cord. Central nervous system is composed of brain and spinal cord. Now, brain is protected within the cranium. Brain is protected within cranium, and spinal cord is protected within the vertebral column. Vertebral column. Brain and spinal cord are both protected under a layer which is called meninges. Meninges. Suppose this is the brain. Suppose this is the human brain. And this is the spinal cord. This brain and spinal cord are protected within a three-layered membrane which is called meninges. This is called meninges. Now, meninges are having three layers. The innermost layer of the meninges is called pia mater, or it is sometimes called pia mater. Pia mater or pia mater. It depends whether you are speaking in British English or American English. So, the innermost layer is called pia mater or pia mater. Pia mater. The middle layer is called arachnoid. The middle layer is called arachnoid. Arachnoid. And the outermost layer is called dura mater. The outermost layer is called dura mater. So, what we have learned? Nervous system, which is also called neural system, comprises of central nervous system as well as peripheral nervous system. Now, central nervous system composed of brain and spinal cord. Brain is protected within cranium and spinal cord is protected within the vertebral column. Both brain and spinal cord are covered by a three-layered membrane which is called meninges. Meninges are having three layers. The innermost layer is called pia mater or pia mater, depending upon which language you are speaking. The middle layer is called arachnoid, and the outermost layer is called dura mater. First, we will discuss about brain. Let me rub it out. First, we will discuss about brain. In the lower classes, what we have read, brain is divided into three regions. Brain is divided into three regions. One is cerebrum. Another is cerebellum, and another one is brainstem, and another one is brainstem. So, in the lower classes, we have what we have read. Brain is divided into cerebrum, cerebellum, and brainstem. And brainstem comprises of midbrain, pons, and medulla oblongata. Medulla oblongata. Medulla oblongata is also called medulla in simple language. Now, if this is the classification what we have learned in lower classes, cerebrum, cerebellum, and brainstem. Brainstem comprises of midbrain, pons, and medulla oblongata. Then where is the diencephalon? So in lower classes we haven't read anything about the diencephalon. So we can classify brain into in a different way. The three regions of brain are forebrain, midbrain, and hindbrain. Now, forebrain comprises of cerebrum and diencephalon. cerebrum is the largest region of the brain. Diencephalon is a very small region, but it is a very important region. Midbrain remains undivided, and hindbrain comprises of pons, cerebellum, and medulla oblongata. Medulla oblongata. Now, if we draw the picture, how this is? Let me draw a picture. Forebrain, that is the front side of the brain. Suppose I am drawing a picture. This is a human face seen from the left side. So, the major region of the brain is cerebrum. This is cerebrum. Now, within this region there is a small region which is called diencephalon. So, this is cerebrum, and this is diencephalon. This is diencephalon. This cerebrum and diencephalon both comprises forebrain. So, forebrain is formed of cerebrum and diencephalon. Forebrain. Then there is a region called midbrain. There is a region called midbrain, which remains undivided. After midbrain, we will see this is pons, this is medulla oblongata, and this is cerebellum. And after that, there is spinal cord. Clear? So this is pons, this is medulla oblongata, which can also be called as medulla oblongata, and this is cerebellum. So this pons, medulla oblongata, and cerebellum, these three components comprises hindbrain. So what is brainstem? Brainstem is nothing but this region. Pons, medulla oblongata, and midbrain. This midbrain, pons, and medulla oblongata, these three regions makes the brainstem. Is it clear? So what are the various classifications of brain? Brain can be classified as forebrain, midbrain, and hindbrain. Forebrain comprises cerebrum and diencephalon. Midbrain remains undivided, and hindbrain comprises pons, cerebellum, and medulla oblongata. Now let us discuss first about cerebrum, the major region of the brain. Cerebrum. Consider a helmet. If we break the helmet from the middle, what will happen? This will get divided into a right side portion and a left side portion. Our cerebrum is also like that. Suppose this is the helmet, break it from the middle. Then what will happen? This helmet will get divided into two portions. One is right portion and another is left portion. This is the right hemisphere, we can say. This is the left hemisphere. So in case of cerebrum also, it is divided into two hemispheres. One is right hemisphere, another one is left hemisphere. So this is right hemisphere of cerebrum and this is left hemisphere of cerebrum. And there is a fissure which divides this right cerebral hemisphere with left cerebral hemisphere. This fissure is called longitudinal fissure. This fissure is called longitudinal fissure or interhemispheric fissure. This fissure which divides the right cerebral hemisphere to the left cerebral hemisphere is called interhemispheric fissure or longitudinal fissure. Now, there are four ventricles in the brain. Two ventricles are in the cerebrum. One is on the right side of the cerebrum and another is on the left side of the cerebrum. So, suppose this is one ventricle which contains cerebrospinal fluid. This is another ventricle which contains cerebrospinal fluid. So this ventricle is called right lateral ventricle, which is situated in the right cerebral hemisphere, and this is left lateral ventricle, which is situated in the left cerebral hemisphere. They are not connected with each other. They are separated by a septum. Clear? Now, below we will find another two ventricles. One is called third ventricle, one is called third ventricle, and another is called a diamond-shaped ventricle, which is called fourth ventricle. Now, all the ventricles are interconnected. This right and left lateral ventricles are not connected directly, but they are connected with third ventricle like this way. Clear? This is called interventricular foramina. This is called interventricular foramina or foramina of Monro. This is called interventricular foramina. Foramina or foramina of Monro. What is that? In singular it is foramen. This is one foramen, this is another foramen. In plural it is called foramina. This is right-sided foramen of Monro, this is left-sided foramen of Monro. So both comprises foramina of Monro. In singular it is foramen, in plural it is foramina. Now, right-sided lateral ventricle, right lateral ventricle, or we can say right ventricle, simply you can say right ventricle or right lateral ventricle. Left lateral ventricle or left ventricle are connected with third ventricle with foramina of Monro or interventricular foramen. So this is third ventricle. Third ventricle. This third ventricle is located within diencephalon. We have already discussed the region of the brain, a small region of the brain which is called diencephalon. This is located within diencephalon, third ventricle. Fourth ventricle. This is fourth ventricle. Fourth ventricle. Third ventricle and fourth ventricle are connected by a channel which is called cerebral aqueduct. Third ventricle and fourth ventricle are connected by cerebral aqueduct. Cerebral aqueduct. And this fourth ventricle is connected to the spinal cord by means of central canal. By means of central canal. Central canal. This central canal is located within spinal cord. This is spinal cord. Spinal cord. Within the spinal cord there is central canal. So what we have seen from this picture, the right lateral ventricle, left lateral ventricle, third ventricle, fourth ventricle and central canal all are interconnected, and within every ventricles and these canals there are a fluid called cerebrospinal fluid. Cerebrospinal fluid, CSF. Clear? Right lateral ventricle, left lateral ventricle. Okay. This is right lateral ventricle, which is situated in the right cerebral hemisphere, and this is left lateral ventricle. Left lateral ventricle, which is situated in the left cerebral hemisphere. Right lateral ventricle can also be called as right ventricle in simpler language. Left lateral ventricle can also be referred to as left ventricle. Clear? Now, where is this third ventricle? It is located in diencephalon. Where is diencephalon located? Suppose consider a helmet. Consider a helmet. Within the helmet, suppose this is helmet, so this is cerebrum. This is cerebrum. There is a fissure in between which is called interhemispheric fissure or longitudinal fissure. Now within this helmet there is a small region. Within this helmet there is a small region which is called diencephalon. So within the cerebrum there is a small region called diencephalon. How is this diencephalon? In the diencephalon there is a median cleft which is called third ventricle. Within the diencephalon, suppose I am drawing the picture from this side. So we are seeing the right side of the human. Okay? So there is a median cleft. There is a median cleft. This median cleft is called third ventricle. So this is third ventricle. This is third ventricle. This is the floor of the third ventricle. This is the front side of the third ventricle. This is the back side of the third ventricle. Now all the components of diencephalon are covering this third ventricle. The major component of diencephalon are a pair of thalami. A pair of thalami. In singular we call it as thalamus. In singular this is thalamus. This is right thalamus. This is the right side. This is right thalamus, and this is left thalamus. These are the largest component of diencephalon. Now, right thalamus is situated on the right side of the third ventricle. Left thalamus is situated in the left side of the third ventricle. Now, in front of thalamus, there is a region. There is a sheet of grey matter. How is it? There is a sheet of grey matter. It looks like this. This sheet of grey matter is called hypothalamus. So this is thalamus. Thalamus in singular. This is left thalamus. This is right thalamus. In plural, we call this as thalami. Thalami, a pair of thalami. Left thalamus and right thalamus. Here, in front of the third ventricle, suppose this is the third ventricle, suppose this is the third ventricle. On the left side of the third ventricle, on the right side of the third ventricle, on the front of the third ventricle, and covering the lower side of the third ventricle, there is a sheet of grey matter, which is called hypothalamus. Which is called hypothalamus. Clear? Now there is a swelling. We are finding a swelling over here in the hypothalamus. This is called tuber cinereum. This is called tuber cinereum. And there are bilateral swelling on both sides of the hypothalamus. These are called mammillary bodies. These are called mammillary bodies. These bilateral swelling are called mammillary bodies. And this is called tuber cinereum. I am not going into the details of that. We will discuss this whenever we will discuss hypothalamus in details. Now, there is a gland. Can you name that gland? It is not actually located here. The position is not like this. There is a gland. This is called pituitary gland. This is the anterior lobe of the pituitary. This is the posterior lobe of the pituitary. So it is called anterior pituitary. Anterior pituitary. And this is posterior pituitary. Posterior pituitary. Pituitary gland is also known as hypophysis. Pituitary gland is also known as hypophysis. Pituitary gland is not a part of the brain. But why I have mentioned this? Because this pituitary gland is connected with hypothalamus. This pituitary gland is connected with hypothalamus. Clear? This pituitary gland is connected with hypothalamus in both parts. Anterior pituitary is connected with hypothalamus. Let us draw the picture by magnifying it. This is the stalk of the pituitary. Now, this is the part of hypothalamus. This is the part of, this is anterior pituitary, this is posterior pituitary. Now, anterior pituitary is connected with hypothalamus by a portal system. This portal system is called hypophyseal portal system. Hypophyseal portal system. Or it is also called hypothalamic hypophyseal portal system because it connects hypothalamus with hypophysis. Hypophysis means pituitary. So this portal system starts with capillaries and ends with capillaries. Clear? This is a vasculature portal system. This is called hypophyseal portal system or hypothalamic hypophyseal portal system. Now the posterior pituitary is not connected by any portal system. It is connected by nervous system. So this is called hypothalamic hypophyseal tract. Hypothalamic hypophyseal tract. Clear? Now the anterior pituitary pituitary is called adenohypophysis. Anterior pituitary is called adenohypophysis. Why it is called adenohypophysis? Adeno means gland. So anterior pituitary is called adenohypophysis. Posterior pituitary is called neurohypophysis. Neurohypophysis. Clear? Now, in diencephalon, what are the components of diencephalon? Hypothalamus, a pair of thalami. Here it is subthalamus. Here it is subthalamus. And in the posterior side, there is epithalamus. Epithalamus. Now, in the posterior side, there is a gland called pineal gland. Pineal gland, which is of the shape of a pine cone. Pine cone. This pineal gland is connected like this way. Connected with the third ventricle by two stalks. Clear? So pineal gland is a component of epithalamus. You can pronounce it as pineal gland, you can pronounce it as a pineal gland, as it resembles the shape of a pine cone. Clear? Okay. So what are the various components of diencephalon? What you have told? That the forebrain comprises of cerebrum and diencephalon. So what are the components of diencephalon? The components of diencephalon are a pair of thalami, hypothalamus, subthalamus, and epithalamus. Is it clear? Is it clear? Okay. Now let us go back to the cerebrum. The major region occupied by the brain is cerebrum. Now, if this is the cerebrum, it is divided into 4 lobes. This is called the frontal lobe. This is called on the back side occipital lobe. This is called the temporal lobe. And this is called the parietal lobe. So what are the various lobes of cerebrum? Frontal lobe on either side. This is the frontal lobe, this is the parietal lobe, this is the temporal lobe, and this is the occipital lobe. Clear? Now, every lobe is having different sizes, every lobe is having different functions. If we see the cerebrum, the upper layer of the cerebrum is called cerebral cortex. The upper layer of the cerebrum is called cerebral cortex. This cerebral cortex is full of crests and troughs like this way. Crests and troughs. These are called sulci and gyri. Here in singular it is sulcus, in plural it is sulci. In singular it is gyrus, in plural it is gyri. Why this is so much convoluted? Because of these convolutions in the cerebral cortex, the surface area will be more. More is the surface area, it can accommodate billions of neurons. Am I making myself clear? It can accommodate billions of neurons. Now, this cerebral cortex is so much convoluted, this is like full of sulci and gyri to maximize the surface area, to accommodate billions of neurons. Now, if we see the brain, the upper region of the brain is made up of grey matter and the lower region of the brain is made up of white matter. But if we see spinal cord, the inner region is made up of grey matter, the outer region is made up of white matter. What is grey matter and white matter? In the lower classes we have learned about neurons. Suppose this is a neuron which resembles the structure of a flower. Suppose this is a flower. Now, this part of the flower is gray in color. And this part of the flower is white in color. So this is similar to a neuron, a nerve cell. This is the cell body, which is also called cyton or soma. This is the cell body which contains dendrites. We have learned in lower classes, and this is the axon. This is the axon, which may or may not be covered by myelin sheath. Now, this cyton or cell body or soma, this is gray in color. But the axon is white in color. So in nervous system, what happens? In the brain, the outer side comprises of the cell body. The outer side is comprises of cell body. So this will be gray in color. But the inner side, there are axons. So the inner side will look like white. So this is called white matter. This is called gray matter. Am I making myself clear? So the cell body makes the gray matter, and the axons. The cell body makes the gray matter, and the axons make the white matter. Clear? Okay. Now, the left cerebral hemisphere and the right cerebral hemisphere are connected by a sheet of white matter. The left cerebral hemisphere and right cerebral hemisphere are connected by a sheet of white matter. Clear? Okay. So, we have already discussed about cerebrum. We have already discussed about diencephalon. So, forebrain is already clear to all of us. Now coming to midbrain. Midbrain remains undivided. Suppose this is the front side and this is the back side. Okay? So this is midbrain. Here we will find two colliculi on the top and two colliculi below. These are called superior colliculi. So there are two superior colliculi and these are called inferior colliculi. This superior colliculi are concerned with vision. And this inferior colliculi are concerned with hearing. Clear? Superior colliculi are concerned with vision. Inferior colliculi are concerned with hearing. Now there is an opening through which a tract comes down like this way. And this is cerebral aqueduct. We have told cerebral aqueduct. This is cerebral aqueduct. What we have told, cerebral aqueduct connects third ventricle with fourth ventricle. That means above the cerebral aqueduct there is third ventricle and below the cerebral aqueduct there is fourth ventricle. Now where is actually the third ventricle? The third ventricle sits over here. Clear? Third ventricle sits over this midbrain. Clear? So the cerebral spinal fluid within this third ventricle communicate with fourth ventricle through the cerebral aqueduct. Now, third ventricle is elongated in the front side a little bit from the midbrain. Now here will be the pair of thalami. Am I making myself clear? Here will be subthalamus. Here will be diencephalon. Am I making myself clear? Now, where will be the fourth ventricle? Now, below the cerebral aqueduct there will be fourth ventricle. Now let us see the position of the fourth ventricle. I am drawing the picture of both sides of the face. Suppose we are seeing the human from the left side. Now, here we are seeing the human from the right side. So this is cerebrum, this is cerebrum, this is left cerebral hemisphere, and this is right cerebral hemisphere. This is left cerebral hemisphere and this is right cerebral hemisphere. Now here is some region which is called diencephalon. Here is a region which is called diencephalon. Now here is the midbrain. Here is the midbrain. So this is midbrain. This is midbrain. Now we have already learned that it is pons, it is cerebellum, it is medulla oblongata, then spinal cord. So it is pons, it is cerebellum, it is medulla oblongata, then there is spinal cord. Then there is spinal cord. Now let me write it down. Pons. This is pons, this is medulla, or we can say medulla oblongata, medulla oblongata, and this is cerebellum. Cerebellum. This is pons, this is medulla oblongata, medulla oblongata, and this is cerebellum. Clear? Now the fourth ventricle, which is a shape of a diamond, diamond shaped fourth ventricle, is situated behind the pons, in the front of cerebellum and above medulla. So in this region there is fourth ventricle. Clear? So in this region there is fourth ventricle. This diamond shaped fourth ventricle is located behind the pons, in the front of cerebellum and above medulla oblongata. Fourth ventricle is situated behind the pons, before cerebellum and above medulla oblongata. This fourth ventricle is connected to midbrain by cerebral aqueduct. So this is cerebral aqueduct, which passes through the midbrain, which passes through the midbrain. So this is cerebral aqueduct, which passes through the midbrain, and this cerebral aqueduct is connected with the third ventricle, which is located within the diencephalon. Am I making myself clear? So this is connected with the third ventricle. So this is third ventricle, this is fourth ventricle, and this fourth ventricle is connected to the spinal cord through a canal, and this canal is called central canal. This canal which runs through the spinal cord is called central canal. Is it clear? Is it clear? So in the brain we have seen four ventricles. One is left lateral ventricle in the left cerebral hemisphere, which is connected to third ventricle. One is right lateral ventricle or right ventricle in the right cerebral hemisphere, which is connected to the third ventricle. Clear? Now third ventricle is connected to fourth ventricle by means of cerebral aqueduct. This is cerebral aqueduct. Cerebral aqueduct. And fourth ventricle is connected to spinal cord through by means of central canal. So this central canal, this fourth ventricle, this third ventricle, and the two lateral ventricles in the brain all are connected to each other, and through which cerebrospinal fluid flows. Clear? So let us take a break.